If you want to know how to understand and overcome resistance so that you can finally move towards your goals with ease, this video is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to my channel. My name is Nina Elise, and I am a certified mindset and manifestation coach. I'm trained in hypnosis, somatic breathwork, and subconscious rewiring. I help women release limiting beliefs, heal their old emotional patterns that are no longer serving them, and reprogram their minds to create lives filled with abundance, joy, and fulfillment. If you are ready to shift out of resistance and into flow, let's get started. So what is resistance? Resistance comes in a lot of different forms, but it's basically that inner voice, that hesitation, or even that heaviness that stops you from taking action or prevents you from really believing that you can do something. And that can be related to starting a new habit, pursuing a goal, or even showing up for yourself. But here's the thing that might seem a little shocking to you. Resistance is not bad. It is actually your subconscious mind trying to protect you. The problem is, what used to serve as protection might now be what is keeping you stuck. So it may have protected you in the past, but now it's no longer serving you, and that's totally okay. I'm gonna get into a little bit more of that in a second. This video is for anyone who feels overwhelmed or frustrated, maybe even unsure about how to break through those invisible barriers that are holding you back, that resistance that you've been resisting for so long. So by the end of this video, you will have actionable tools to understand resistance and then also to release resistance so that you can move forward with confidence and no longer feel that. Resistance is so normal. I have experienced resistance in so many areas of my life. We're human, we're all going to experience it. So that can look like starting new routines, pursuing big goals, or even learning something new. It's different. Our minds are like, what the heck is this? We're gonna have resistance. So I'll give you an example. Last summer, I started surfing. And when I started, I resisted getting up early. I was scared of getting hurt. I was scared of drowning. Like, the ocean just terrified me. I didn't even want seaweed to touch me. And honestly, I doubted if I could even really be good at that, to surf those bigger waves. And I realized that resistance, it wasn't a wall. Like, it wasn't a wall telling me, no, you can't do this. It was just a signal. So in order to make this a little bit easier, I started to just make small shifts. So that looked like going to bed earlier, setting out all of my surf gear the night before, and I even joined a women's surf group for accountability. And so I had that support. It wasn't just me living in my head being like, I can't do this. So basically I took small steps. I challenged myself just enough so I wasn't putting myself in situations where I didn't feel safe. And I set an intention so that no matter when I would feel resistance, I would have that intention to come back to, which was also challenging myself to make new friends. And that was actually like a why that was a lot more stronger than my resistance and what really ultimately helped me push through. So having a really strong why about why you want to do something, that has always got to be so much bigger than the actual resistance and telling you that you can't do it or why you can't do it. First, we really want to understand what resistance is. Resistance is just data. That's it. It is your subconscious mind flagging something as uncomfortable or unfamiliar. And instead of fighting it, you can ask yourself really empowering questions. So for an example, what is this resistance trying to protect me from? Or where is this resistance coming from? When you start to really understand the core root of it, then you can start to go to the next step, which is decide what you want to do with the resistance. Decide what you want to do with that data that you've just uncovered with these questions. Once you understand all of this, you can decide, does this resistance serve me? Is the reward on the other side of the resistance greater than the fear of holding me back? So ultimately, you're the one that is deciding how you want to move forward. And that is when you really start to step more into an empowered place because you are the one that is making the final decision, collecting that data, and then deciding how you want to move forward. The next step is to use tools to explore resistance. So you may have resistance to using these tools, but I promise you they are so powerful and they are super simple and free. So grab a pen and paper or your journal, and what you're going to do is write out your thoughts around what is making you hesitate. Just get super curious and ask yourself questions like, what is the worst that could happen? And that might seem a little scary. So you can ask yourself, what is the best thing that could happen? Some people might call this like wild mind writing, where you're just writing down and like forcing yourself to look at all of your fears, getting all of your thoughts down on paper. And it can be very liberating because it's not just constantly stuck in your head. And I'll share a story with you that really made me think about things differently and looking at my fears versus like the best thing that could happen. So I was at a conference last year where Shaq, like the basketball player, he came and spoke. And I remember him specifically talking about how he has those fears and those doubts, the resistance, just like anybody else. And what he did is he called the resistance or like the negative thoughts kind of like the devil on his shoulder, the devil angel, and then you have like the good angel over here. And what he said was that he found he was constantly listening to that devil angel. And he's like, well, that's not really fair. Like, I want to give the good angel some talk time, basically. And that like really stuck out to me because I realized like I personally was giving so much weight to that like devil angel on my shoulder, and I wasn't allowing myself to tip to the other side and saying, what is the best that could happen? Because I was constantly putting my attention on that negative and being stuck in that loop, and realizing I was actually cutting off really beautiful potentialities and ways of perceiving how things could turn out for me. So I hope that was helpful for you in some way, because ever since I heard him say that, I'm constantly like weighing out and like listening to both of those angels on both of my shoulders. And it's a really fun exercise to start to say like, what really is the best that could happen? And that is where I feel like you can make the most informed decision, is when you are weighing out both sides and giving them equal weight. Another tool that I use is EFT tapping. So you might hear me talk about this a lot in my videos, but emotional freedom technique or EFT tapping is an amazing way to release emotional blocks and reprogram your nervous system to feel safe moving forward. And a lot of us don't really think too much about resistance and nervous system and manifestation, all of those things wrapped up in one. But our nervous system is actually a really huge part of being able to remove resistance, because the body always follows the mind. And so if we have these negative thoughts and these beliefs that are creating this resistance, it's going to manifest in our body, and then we start to not feel safe in our bodies. We start to not trust ourselves. So EFT tapping is actually a form of somatic work. You're tapping on specific meridian points to reprogram different connections in your brain, essentially. And it's like a form of traditional Chinese medicine, tapping on the different meridian points. Not just EFT tapping, but you can also do other types of somatic work. But this is the easiest thing that you can do anywhere you're at, whether in your car, at your house, you're in the bathroom at work, you can just do EFT tapping. And it actually helps to calm the nervous system, because you are shifting the thoughts that are creating that reaction in your physical body. The next thing I recommend is coaching. Sometimes you need an outside perspective to uncover hidden beliefs or patterns. And a coach or a mentor or someone that can help you really perceive things from a different perspective can guide you to the actual root of your resistance. And if you don't have all these tools, or you don't really know how to do it, and you're kind of trial and erroring and not really releasing it or feeling different, I highly, highly recommend working with a coach so that they can help guide you during this process, so that eventually you will do that on your own. And that is how you know that you have a really good coach, because they're not just holding your hand the whole time and like doing things for you. They are empowering you, and they are teaching these tools for you to do on your own, so that you can remember the power that you have within yourself. A good coach will always want to get rid of you. That's all I gotta say about that. Actually, I will share my experience working with coaches and becoming a coach. So I started working with someone because I did not know how to regulate my emotions, essentially. And I wanted to be able to work through that, and I needed support during that process. And it was incredibly impactful for me. So I have worked with several different coaches over the years: an emotional regulation coach, a coach who specialized in EFT tapping, a shadow work coach, a mindset coach, a YouTube coach, and kind of like I guess I would call her like a spiritual business coach. So I worked with a lot of different coaches, and anytime I felt stuck in my life or felt like I was doing something over and over again and not progressing, that is when I did my due diligence and I looked up different coaches, and they were so incredibly helpful because they helped me move past where I was feeling stuck and helped me perceive things in a different way. And then also provided that support so I didn't feel so alone. It wasn't just that, but there's also my business coach was providing structure and strategies that I wasn't aware of that actually created more freedom in my business for myself. And so I think if you decide to go work with a coach, it's getting very clear about what you need and what you're trying to get out of that relationship, because there are so many different coaches out there. It's just trusting yourself and going with your gut and doing research and finding one that you feel is correct for you. The next step is to shift your identity and self-concept. How we perceive reality is always rooted in our identity. And resistance often comes from how you see yourself in relation to the world. So you can start by asking yourself, who is that version of me that moves through this resistance easily? So this can be creating some sort of character or alter ego that you can tap into that state and to help you move through that resistance. So writing down the traits of that person, whether it's being resilient or confident or calm, and just doing your best to embody that daily. And let me tell you, you will mess up as you are stepping into this new version of yourself and starting to see yourself for so long, because you're in an identity for so long. And it requires some grace as you are stepping into a new way of being, essentially. So just give yourself time to shift a little bit each day, because when you're trying to jump from here to across the ocean, it may not be that easy. If you're I'm going to go from point A to Z, it's just take small little steps and those will compound. And one day you'll wake up and be like, I am her, or I am him. And as long as you are clear on who you want to be, your mind will not allow the resistance to control your life. The next step is to create small incentives. Make it easier to take the first step by setting yourself up for success. So for example, if you are resisting working out, you can lay your clothes out the night before and tell yourself, I'm just going to commit to 10 minutes of exercise at the gym or even at your house. Because you don't want to overload yourself. Like I said, you don't want to go from point A to Z and then you be totally burnt out and you're like, why did I even do this? And then you get hard on yourself and it's this never ending self-deprecating loop. You want to make this as easy as possible for yourself, especially when you are first starting out, you're first starting to create new habits. And after you complete that task, after you did 10 minutes of exercise, you can treat yourself to a coffee or go buy yourself something after you did that for 5 or 10 days straight. It's creating these small incentives are what's going to be helpful in that process of reaching that goal. And it is kind of a bigger why to move past any resistance that you have. And I will give you an example of my personal life. Before I really got into yoga and teaching yoga, I've been teaching for over 10 years, I was not flexible at all. I used to be a gymnast, but I lost all of my flexibility, couldn't even touch my toes. And so I challenged myself for 30 days to stretch for 5 minutes every single day. And it was actually really easy for me because my incentive was I got to watch a new TV show. So what I would do is I would just stretch when I was watching TV. So then I started to have an incentive to be okay, it's kind of relaxing. I started to associate relaxation with stretching. And kind of that, I don't know, some of us may be addicted to television or whatever. So kind of associated this good feeling of being able to watch a show that I really enjoyed. And what ended up happening was I was looking forward to the 5 minutes of stretching, and it ended up being longer than 5 minutes of stretching because I would just be sitting there on the floor stretching. And so after 30 days, I was yeah, I'm going to continue this. And I actually started to get into yoga after that, because after that 30 days, I realized it was actually impacting my running, because I used to run a lot when I was in my 20s, and it actually improved my running time. So you're just doing small things every single day that are compounding. Finding some sort of incentive that is going to keep you motivated is what will help you move forward. And the last step is to practice releasing and trusting. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is release resistance by trusting the process. Shifting your focus from perfection to progress, knowing that every step forward is what matters. And it seems so simple, On this journey, it is not just about removing resistance or meeting a goal. You're also learning how to cultivate deeper trust in yourself, and that is so incredibly beautiful. That's all I've got to say on releasing resistance. So if you are ready to release resistance and step into alignment with your goals, download my Magnetize Your Dream Life Guide. It's free. It's packed with incredibly powerful exercises that I have personally used to release resistance and manifest just incredible things in my life. So like a career that I really love, really amazing friendships, and even healing chronic health issues. And that is for a whole nother video at another time. Basically, this shit works. The link is in the description below for you to download. I'm gonna leave you with this final thought. Resistance is not your enemy. It is a guidepost. It is showing you where you have an opportunity to grow, to expand, and to step into a higher version of yourself. That's exciting. It's different, it's new, it's a journey. So my question for you is, what one area of your life are you ready to let go of the resistance? Drop it in the comments below. As always, I would love to cheer you on. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. If you want to learn more about shifting your mindset or creating your dream life, check out my last 2 videos. I've linked them in the description, or you can click right here. Thank you so much for watching. You all have no idea how much this means to me, and I hope that my own personal experience and what I'm sharing has been impactful for you in some way. I will see you all in the next one.